There you go.
There literally is no competition in Japan, is there?
Ouch.
No, he's not joking though. Like we call Japanese boys vegetarians because they never say what they mean. They never go for the killer instinct. Tell you what, you come to Japan, like I'm. Look at me. I'm a lower level girl. Girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were a one-level girl.
Welcome down to the abyssal layer of the Radiophonic Sea Creatures. Set your phasers to fuck because I, Tokyo Choo Choo, am going to be your host today. And with me as always are two resident red shirts, aka period juice pussies. It's Human Metal and Brak. How are you today? How are you, Human Metal?
In a periodic good mood.
I'm really happy that I'm a red shirt because I really want to die first. I feel like.
I share the sentiment. At least after this prolonged intro period. Period. There you go.
Yeah. Blood. Nasty. Human Metal, what have you been up to recently?
Not much really. I've played a bit of Horizon, but I have not finished that game yet, so I don't. There's not really a need to talk about it. I like it though. But I want to talk about a thing that is very near and dear to your heart, Choo Choo, and that is Sonic, who is apparently getting a Hollywood movie, a live-action movie, and we saw a trailer recently. So I just want to know what you think about it. That's all I want to know today.
Movie? Are you sure it's a Hollywood movie? It looks like one of those Chinese knockoff movies.
That's also true. But yeah.
Well, honestly, talking about my opinions about it, I mean, it could be all right. I mean, obviously, it's going to be
Could
naff
it?
as fuck. No, but but maybe it's okay because it's got Jim Carrey as Dr. Eggman. I mean, how can you really go wrong with Jim Carrey hamming it up to the nth degree? I think it's going to be okay in a comedic way. I think everybody
could you go wrong with Jim Carrey, except for like the last 20 years of his career.
Well, to be
well, hang on a minute. The last 20 years of his career includes The Truman Show and also the Eternal Sunshine.
Truman Show is before that.
So fuck you.
Truman Show is before that.
To be fair, in the Sonic
Eternal
trailer,
Sunshine isn't though.
in the Sonic trailer, he's the most old school Jim Carrey he has been in a long while.
Yeah. But the thing is, like if the Batman Triumphant, no, it's not called that, is it? Batman Forever is like an awful film. But
I'm gonna call it Batman Triumphant now. Thank you very much.
That's what it was originally called, yeah. But like the Batman Forever, like the only good thing about Batman Forever is the Riddler. So maybe, possibly, the only good thing about Sonic is going to be Jim Carrey. But
probably,
yeah. But that was like prime Ace Ventura Jim Carrey. You know what I mean?
But I think that's where he's going with this.
Yeah, he's definitely trying to go there. I thought the dialogue between him and the soldier guy, colonel guy, whatever, Neil McDonough, wasn't funny. But hey, there could be some good scenes in there. I mean, but you know, what do you think of Sonic's design? Everyone is hung up on that and his weird human teeth that are the fuel of nightmares.
I mean, Sonic's design in general, like overall, like you're used to it, but it's horrifying. Like Sonic's normal design as well. It's already horrifying. He's like this small, lanky, blue creature with like super huge eyes that are like stuck together, like one unibrow, but it's an eye. It's terrible. And this movie is even worse. So.
Well, the thing is, they cuted Sonic up for this movie. I mean, he used to be like cool back in the 90s or whatever. You know, he used to have that kind of like attitude and cool. And they basically kind of made him like a Japanese, like, you know, like it's like a gay version of Sonic, if you know what I mean. It's like super cute. It's like super twee.
Oh, okay.
Is this Sonic super cute?
No, this Sonic is a nightmare.
Yeah, he doesn't. I don't think that they're trying to make
He
him
has his
super cute as
weird,
well.
dangly ass human legs, but still his fucking giant head and his weird
What,
teeth.
he's fucking his giant head?
Yeah, that too, probably in this movie.
Oh, man, he must have a dick as long as mine.
Yeah. What?
He literally fuck his own
That's
head.
why he's naked in the screen and you don't see his dick. That's why it's as long as yours, right? Yeah. Makes
And
sense.
they didn't give him any gloves, so you see his gross hands.
He's not wearing any clothes outside of shoes, and that's wrong.
Like, I'm just saying, yeah, that's it, Brak. That's what I've mentioned before. Like, if he wears shoes and gloves, right, it means he's actually aware of society's rules of like wearing clothes and stuff. Yet he chooses not to wear them, just wears his gloves and shoes like a fucking naked Michael Jackson. And you're talking about his dick, but he probably has a long tail. That's not his tail. That's just his dick flapping behind him.
Well, maybe he thinks like the fur is covering the rest when it doesn't. I don't know. But
it's like a horse's dick. Nah, a horse's dick is so huge, but like you never get to see a horse's dick. But they just kind of like unravel it, unfold it from their body. And I remember like once, me and my friends we were on this school trip. We were on this school trip, right? And there was this horse, and it was doing this weird thing of like dangling its dick out and then withdrawing it back in, dangling its dick out, withdrawing it back in. And my friend picked up a huge fucking rock and literally zinged it right in the dick. And the horse ran off.
It's horrible.
Wouldn't you? If someone zinged you in the dick with a giant stone? Either that or you would punch his face in if you still can.
Yeah.
Your friend should be lucky that the horse wasn't trying to fucking eat him alive.
You're lucky he chose flight instead of fight.
Yeah.
Well, firstly, that horse was a good way away. Also, he was one of those weird horses, you know, like a slightly mangy-looking horse with like eyes that were kind of like pointing in different directions and stuff.
Okay.
Horse.
One of them horses that got dropped on its head when it... All right. One that didn't make it to the races. All right, I get it.
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right, so let's get this amazing tangent, to be fair. Closed off.
That horse was the star of many twisted bestiality films.
So my main problem with the trailer, at least, is that it doesn't look all that weird. Like, the trailer itself looks very generic.
Yes. Nothing about this trailer looked enticing to me. Not one thing. I think the only thing that looked enticing were like the rings over the Paramount logo. It's like, oh, that's nice. And then everything that came after that was like, ugh.
It just looks like one of those generic like Alfred and the Chipmunks or the Smurfs, or like, these creatures from this fantasy movie are going to be in the real world. And there's probably some moment where Sonic like eats everything in like the main dude's fridge or some stupid shit like that. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Like Minions. Very basic and like live action children movie tropes.
Well, that's definitely going to happen, but then again, that happens in the games.
But I just wish it was crazier. Like it says from the producers of Fast and the Furious, and I want some Fast and the Furious in this. You know what I mean? Like I want some more like straight up crazy shit.
Well, you do. Thing is, like the actual Sonic action. There's a scene where he's like busting all of like Robotnik's robots and stuff. I mean, that looks pretty crazy. When you think, because it is a real world movie, right, based in our kind of like existence and stuff. So
yeah, it's not based. It's not set on Mobius. It's not on Sonic's planet. He's talking like he's coming from, like he's being an alien in this, but that could also mean that he just got transported there from his planet for some reason. And I mean, Sonic Adventure is kind of set in our real world anyway, so I don't know what happened there, how he got there. So I don't know. We'll see how they established that universe they conquered.
I think you're talking about the Sonic. I think you're thinking about the Sonic games way too seriously, but like, like I don't think there's any continuum between them at all. But
there are the comics, so
that is true. There's also
they
the
just got
animation,
rebooted. Yeah,
Sonic Boom and stuff. But I don't know. I mean, I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt. It's definitely a movie I will watch. I mean, whatever, I will say absolutely, without question, it's going to be better than the Super Mario Brothers movie. So fuck you, Mario. Sonic's got one over you there. Fuck you. Unless
you don't know that yet.
Yeah.
Wait, there's also a Mario movie
I
coming, right?
think it's
Yeah, and there is a new Mario movie coming. It's from the people who made Minions, so that's also gonna suck.
Yeah.
Enjoy!
But
It's gonna be the most
animated
bleh
at
thing
least.
ever.
It's gonna be animated at least, so it won't look as like grotesque as this.
It's gonna stay true to the design, probably.
Maybe so, but still, you can never erase that Bob Hoskins monstrosity. I mean, you're saying like it might not be as good as the Super Mario Brothers movie, but no, it will be. I mean,
Yeah,
I've
probably.
literally taken like really painful shits that have been better than that Super Mario Brothers movie, and we're
Yeah,
not
I've never
talking about
seen
the
it, so I
nice
don't know.
kind. Where you
But
sit down,
at least that's like a train wreck on a level where you can at least still like be entertained by like GIFs online. Like maybe Sonic is not even going to like
oh
beat
come on,
that
we wouldn't
out
be
there.
talking. We wouldn't be talking about it if it wasn't entertainingly bad already. I mean, let's face it. If it was like a great Sonic trailer, like we probably wouldn't be talking about it. Or maybe we would be like, oh man, that Sonic trailer is so good. But we're saying, oh no, this is gonna be awful. So maybe we'll be entertained by gifs from it in the future. I mean, who knows? But like,
I have a feeling
Brak,
the movie is just gonna be super boring. That's my current like feeling on it. It's probably gonna be like the most unnecessary thing you have seen in a long while.
I have faith that Jim Carrey is going to save it.
Okay.
I think Jim Carrey will push the boat out and be an entertaining villain in this, and hopefully make the whole thing worth sitting through at least once. Whereas, you know, you go back to the original Super Mario Brothers, it wasn't funny at all.
I don't
It
want
was
to go
like-
back to the original Super Mario Brothers.
Didn't. That's a good game, by the way, Brak. And didn't even try to like make any laughs or anything. Just took everything deadly serious and was just naff. I mean, real bad, like just awful. Just the whole way through, like Brak. That's one of those classic video game movies you just don't want to see ever in your life, ever. So, you know, seriously, the whole point of making is fuck Mario. Sonic's got it, you know, locked up in this case. Like it's a lock for the win. All right, Bracketh, what do you have in your shallows this week?
I've been playing Red Dead Redemption 2. Not 1, number 2. And I've put like 20, 30 hours in it, so probably like 20% to the game because it's long as fuck. But
That's probably longer than me.
maybe, I'm not sure how much time you put into the game, but it's really long. That's kind of what I can tell already. Like, I've put a lot of time in it, and I've like I haven't explored like at least a third of the map yet. So
Or maybe not quite as long as me, but that is a long ass game, so I don't know.
that is a long ass game, that's for sure. I've been enjoying it though. It's fun. It's real good fun. Like, maybe it's not real good fun. That's the problem with it a little bit. Like, the characters are super interesting. The world is extremely detailed and like feels very dynamic. Like I said, I've been playing it for so long, and I still get like new random events that are like I haven't seen before. Like you like just go with your horse through the roads, and everyone and like some random like prisoner comes by, and he asks you to like shoot his chains off. Like stuff like that happens all the time. And it's like every single time it's like new stuff that I haven't seen before. They don't repeat those events, and it's like a shit ton of those events. So I'm really impressed just by how the world really feels alive and how detailed everything is. But there's also a lot of going through the world on your horse for like 10 hours at least. You know what I mean? It's like you don't have fast travel, so it's kind of slow at times, and sometimes it's a little bit too slow. Like I have seen some roads from like your camp to like the first main town. I have gone over that road at least like 20, 30 times while playing that first section of the game. After I was like, oh, this is getting kind of annoying because it's so much. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I also like that, the immersiveness, the fact that you exist in that world. You have to cover the distance. I mean, yeah, it's got that kind of relaxing. When I play that game, I play it in a very relaxed vibe. I don't expect to go anywhere quickly. I expect to properly disappear into the world, like you disappear into the movie Unforgiven or whatever. I mean, that's a slow-ass movie. That ain't Fast and the Furious.
I'm not expecting Fast and the Furious, but it's just like every once in a while, sometimes it really works out. Like there's like a mission where I have to go to the other side of the map, right? So I have to go there on my horse. It's like a quite big ride there, and then it's late at night when I get there, and my character is tired and hungry and stuff. So like, oh yeah, you know what? I'm gonna do this mission tomorrow. And first, I'm gonna find this hotel and just go spend the night at this hotel, and then wait till the next morning and then start the mission. And it really feels immersive. You really feel like you're on a long journey when that happens. That's really cool.
That's the first visit to St. Denis, right?
No, I'm talking about a completely different mission. Like, you don't have to go into the hotel. Like, I'm saying, my character was tired, so I just went into the hotel to sleep, so I'm rested before the mission I have next. Like, I want to start, because then I will be better prepared.
Okay. But that's not the mission where you go into the big town with all the electric lights for the first time. No. Oh damn. Never mind. All right. Well, that's kind of what happened with me with that mission. Like, I went into the town with the electric lights for the first time. It's like the middle of the night, all the lights are on. It's just like, damn, let's find a hotel and I'll pick up the mission in the morning. It's like, so yeah, you have that several times apparently.
I do. One of the things I had, like, that was really irritating. Like, I had this mission and I had to find this old gunslinger to interview him or whatever. And I got on the train where he's on, and he freaked out. And I had to climb on top of the train, and on the top of the train I had to shoot out, which is really cool, right? To have like a real badass shootout on top of a train with one other gunslinger. But after that, I was like super far out of town, and my horse wasn't with me, so I had to walk all the way back to get back to my horse. It's like, oh, this is frustrating. It's like way too fucking long.
See, I had the complete opposite from that. Like I had that same shootout, and like I had the same thing as you. I was like, damn, I am so far away from my horse, and then I dropped off, and like I ran, and I kept repeatedly whistling for my horse, and then eventually my horse, I was within whistling range, but like running through all the cornfields and stuff and jumping over people's fences and whatever, like, it was really fun for me. So I guess case by case, player by player. I really enjoyed that stuff where you didn't seem to like it.
Like I said, it's very situational if I enjoy it or not. Because when it happens so often, or it's like sometimes it feels more realistic, probably because your horse is super important back in those days, but it also feels kind of restrictive that I have to keep track of my horse being with me all the time. You know what I mean? Like, I can't go like on a walk, because then I will be too far away from my horse and have to walk all the way back instead of being able to ride back.
Do you not have a special connection with your horse? What's your horse's name?
Horsey. That's why I named my horse, and that's it. I just named him Horse.
Damn. I call okay. I call my horse is still at the moment. My horse is Becky, named after Becky Lynch.
I'm probably gonna get a new horse soon as well, because that's also a thing in this game. They make it feel like you're a gang on the run and you have no money. You have to make money all the time. But I'm not that far into the game, I feel, and there's not that much stuff I can buy anymore that I actually need. You know what I mean? You get so much money with the missions that, like, I've got my camp fully upgraded. Weapons don't really make a difference if you buy a new weapon or an old weapon, because they've mostly play the same. So now I'm just stuck with a lot of money that I don't really have a goal for. And every single mission activity is like there to make money, and like, oh, I don't need any more money because I already got enough. So I only do a few of them that are like seem really fun, but it's still like, it's weird that they make all this game around having your character make money, need money, and then you don't have that money and you don't really have anything to do with it.
Well, you will spend it on your horse then, but I mean, I'm sure it's going to come in handy at some point. Again, I have so much money, but I haven't really upgraded my camp and stuff, so I can't really speak to that. But like, I think the story itself, it's its own reward in Red Dead Redemption 2. So, Brak, are you interested enough in the game to continue playing it?
Yeah, I definitely will continue playing it, because, like I said, those characters are great, and like the story is great, and the writing is really good, and like, even tidbits of writing that you just catch when you're just walking to your camp. It's all new and all interesting. It's like, yes, I want to sometimes I'm just standing like 15 minutes next to like two other characters having a conversation because I want to listen to what they're saying. So in that way, it's really cool.
Yeah, it definitely has an RPG aspect to it. Do you know what I mean? Like a Skyrim or something where you really kind of immerse yourself. It's definitely not
It felt a lot like
predominantly an action
Mass
game.
Effect to
Like,
me, actually.
yeah, well, that was an RPG again. So, but that's the difference between this game and the first game, which was first game was predominantly an action game. Um, but this game is like feels much more towards something like an RPG, which I personally like about it. It's not a game that you could ever finish in a quick sitting. So I recognized its sort of Skyrim-esque element and realized that I was going to have to spend a long time with this game. So I sort of slowed down my pace and I kind of interspersing it with other games. At the moment, on a gaming front myself, I'm back to Persona 5.
Oh yeah,
So
that's a
I'm
short game. Yeah, sure.
yeah, sure.
It's
Like,
a good,
you know,
good
well,
short in between game.
yeah, it's that's exactly it. Finish off a palace and then go back to do whatever you know, a palace only takes about 100 hours or so. So, you know, just finish off one and then go back to something else. But yeah, I love Red Dead Redemption 2. It's just a really good game, and I'm glad to hear you're enjoying it, Brak.
One last thing I want to say is that like the difference between this and an RPG is that with an RPG you're constantly also leveling up, getting better gear, upgrading your character and whatever. And this game that's not necessary. Like a gun, it doesn't matter which gun. If you shoot a guy in the face, it like it's an immediate like kill. You know what I mean?
Well,
So
yeah, that's how life works.
yeah, I know that's how life works. But like there's you could literally easily play it throughout the game with like the gear you just get through playing the game. You don't really need to like get better weapons. The upgrades, like I've tried to upgrade some of my guns and the difference is like not noticeable at all. Like they statistically they seem to be a little bit better, but you wouldn't notice it playing it because it's just they play exactly the same. So it's like there's not really like in those other games you really have reason to upgrade your character, upgrade your gear, upgrade your like your companion characters and stuff like that. And in this game that's not necessary anymore. But they have so many stuff that like activities and stuff that seem to be there just for you to be able to get enough money to upgrade your stuff. But the upgrading is very inconsequential. So it's like feels like a little bit like a dead end at times.
Yeah, there you go, kids. A lesson about consumerism. Buy shit you don't need. But
Nice words.
But I think I love that about that game though. Like you and I come from different places, Brak. I think you're thinking more in a gaming term of, you know, like earning money to buy this shit. I personally go into that game to feel immersed in a cowboy world. So like I already said, you know, you have a gun, you shoot some dude in the face, he dies. It doesn't matter what gun you have, you shoot him in the face, he's fucking dead.
I'm not saying that I want that there's like a bar above his head that I have to shoot him 4 times. I just wish that the gameplay wise, the difference between guns was actually noticeable. Like one gun shoots differently, or actually has like feels like it shoots, it plays differently, but they all play kind of the same. Like there's no difference at all between most of those weapons, and they have a lot of them, and it's like they all exactly play the same.
I can totally see where you're coming from, and I agree with your point about that. But I personally don't really mind that. You know, it's just about, I guess, what you're thinking, like, oh, like aesthetically or whatever, like your own sort of psychological connection with your pistol or whatever. Like, for example, even though you can have 2 guns, which would technically, you know, give you more shot power or whatever, I always personally choose to play with 1 pistol in Red Dead Redemption, just because it feels more accurate to the time period, and plus you can do that wicked cool thing where you like spin your gun and put it back in your holster after you ice someone.
Oh yeah, that is fun.
Yeah,
but that's also one problem where like I feel that's the fun is just like definitely on the backseat. Like in GTA, you can have the story and stuff, but every once in a while you just want to let loose and just go on like a killing spree or whatever. But you can't really do that in this game because then you have an insanely high bounty and you will never be able to pay off. And you will just like have like bounty hunters after you for the rest of the game, and you won't be able to finish some story mission and stuff. So like they definitely punish you for like sometimes just going like wild and doing some stuff just for the fun of it.
Yeah, I think so. Like, if you want to go wild in this, it's like you got to save it and then go crazy, and then just just switch off the game. Like,
Which
you know what I mean?
maybe adds to the connection to Skyrim. It's because I always do that in Skyrim as well. Like after I save, I'm like, I'm done with the night. First I save, and then I just go on a killing spree, and then I quit the game. Yeah, that's how I play Skyrim all the time.
This is like everybody's done the challenge of killing everybody in the town and trying to drag all their corpses into the local bar or whatever. Yeah. So I guess I'll talk about my thing, which is going to be a movie that I watched relatively recently, and that movie is Mandy, the Nicolas Cage movie. So the other two members on the podcast haven't seen Mandy, so I'm going to try to go spoiler free here as much as possible, because Mandy is such a good film. So Mandy was a film I had wanted to see since it got its release, and I don't think I saw the trailer for Mandy, but I think I had seen a few people on YouTube talk about the reviews and stuff, and those reviews were just saying Mandy is great. Mandy is like one of Nicolas Cage's best films ever, etc., etc. It's so cool and psychedelic and whatever, and it's something you have to see. So at that point, I kind of went on blackout for Mandy and just decided, okay, this sounds like cool enough, because I like Nicolas Cage when he's on form. When Nicolas Cage is crap, he's awful, but when he's brilliant, he's brilliant. So I just thought, that's enough for me. I'll watch that movie. And then finally, recently, I got the opportunity to watch it, and it fucking blew my mind. It blew my mind. Oh my God. Like there are very rare films where it properly, I'm looking forward to it or whatever, and I put it on, and it properly blows my mind out the back of my skull. But Mandy was one of those films. It was brilliant. I watched it 3 times. I bought the Blu-ray. It's just an absolutely fantastic film. It has an X element to it that not many films have, like something like Alien or The Crow, like one of those immediate cult classic films that just has an undefinable X element where you just immediately, as soon as you watch it, you just know in your heart, like, I'm going to watch this 15 times over the next 10 years or whatever, and I'm going to just introduce this movie to everybody I ever meet because it is fucking crazy awesome. That's what Mandy was for me. I absolutely adored it. I loved it, and I watched it 3 times, and every time I watched it, it just got better. Things to say, non-spoilery, about Mandy. The director is totally on point. He infuses his film with a brilliant psychedelic art design that is unique and so interesting. It has this weird science fiction vibe. So Mandy is a movie that takes place in our world, but the director has this weird thing of making imagery look like science fiction. Like bicycles arriving look like spaceships. The interiors of people's houses look like the insides of a spaceship from Alien or something. It's really, really weird. Forests are made to look like alien architecture and stuff. It's like he really pushes the science fiction aesthetic, which is really, really cool, and I don't know why he does it. It's like one of the mysteries of the film, and that's another thing about that film. It doesn't explain anything to you. It has all these weird things going on, but none of the narrative or anything explains what anything means. So it doesn't make sense in a way, and I think a casual viewer would just dismiss that as being like what the fuck does this mean? This film's fucking crazy. I can't understand it. But for people probably the 3 of us and anybody listening to this, it's like one of those films that begs to be rewatched. It's like you feel like you could fathom it out. You could find out the details or whatever of what's actually going on, in a metaphorical sense, than what's actually being shown to you, because it's not explained to you, and just feels like if you watch it enough times, you're going to get something that nobody else gets out of that. And I really love that about that film. Yeah, and it's just like the first half is slow burn, second half absolutely fucking crazy, but they somehow blend together into something that's just so unique, so fresh, so wonderful, and just brilliantly bonkers and entertaining, and with a much, much deeper level. I just love it. And like the thing is, like also one thing to say about the film, it's not perfect either, which also adds to its charm. There are some points where it's so bad at points that you just can't help but laugh at it, but laugh at it in just the right way. Like maybe I'm sure that's not what they meant to happen. Like I'm fairly sure they were taking it like so seriously, but there are some scenes where Nicolas Cage is so out of control or whatever, and his performance is so crazy that you can't help just but like to let like a stifled laugh come out, and it just makes you laugh out loud, but in the best way, which makes it so much fun. Because like the first half of the movie is like really serious, and the second half just like explodes in like craziness, and like in a, like I say, like in a way that kind of like sometimes is so bad but yet so great, like just in the absolute perfect way. It's just like just one of those movies I just want to watch again and again and again. So there you go. That's all I'm going to say about it. I'm not going to say anything. I haven't
seen anything from the movie except for the poster, which includes a bloody-faced Nicolas Cage with like a chainsaw and like neon lightning, and that's like already enough for me to like, oh yeah, I should need to see this.
Yes, same for me. It's like, okay, let's go.
Yeah, that's it. That's I don't again like I don't want to put any spoilers out there except for to say Mandy is one of those films that you absolutely must see. So I'll give one last note. Like recently, with my oldest daughter, I was comprising a list of the top 10 movies of the last 10 years. Because now it's 2019, obviously. And I really, really thought hard about that list. Like, I really, really thought hard. And actually, my daughter and I watched the top 15 movies that I had compiled, like, together of the last 10 years, which is, and I did that for this podcast, actually, which is an episode we're going to get it in later in the year. But Mandy ended up in my top 5.
Nice.
Of the last 10 years. That's how fucking good that film is. It is brilliant. It's a revelatory film. I highly recommend it. It's like, go watch it. Damn, that's a quality film.
Cool.
So, with that revelation, we're going to move out of the shallows and into the depths. Welcome back to the depths. So today on the depths, we're going to be talking about a relatively recent film, and that film, of course, is Avengers Endgame, because we're all huge nerds. Well, 2 of us are anyway.
Speak for yourself. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
I snap me out of existence, please.
Yeah. Yeah, you had the whole adage of giving someone some rope. Human Metal just gave himself the rope and just launched himself off the building with it. But yeah, we're going to be talking about Avengers.
That's what I do. With a passion. All right.
Yes.
Endgame, man.
Endgame, yeah. So let's talk about Endgame. So let's talk about the general impressions, I guess, of the film first, without going into spoilers. Although we are going to go into spoilers, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. He's definitely going to go into spoilers. A bit like his mother when he gave birth to Human Metal. But
it doesn't even make sense.
I don't know. You spoiled.
Yeah, you don't know.
You spoiled your mama's cooch. Now it's all slack and
All right.
nasty.
I get it. Thanks for explaining that to me. General impressions. I love that movie. I think it's a great finale to the first 3 phases of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think it's a great exclamation point on the arc of one of the characters, one of the most important ones. And yeah, I watched it in the movie theater on the best seats, and I loved every second of it pretty much. a few little gripes here and there, but overall I was really happy with it. I enjoyed it from beginning to end, and I am looking forward to seeing it again. Brak.
Yeah, it was cool as fuck. That's all I'm saying. Super cool. Like, yeah, I want to see it again. Some cool shit happens. More cool shit happens. There were tears. There was applauding. There were laughs. There was crying. There were explosions. Like everything in this movie.
Everything a good action movie needs.
That film was 3 hours long. I mean, it's crazy. It was 3 hours long. So I was just sitting there.
It felt like one to me.
That's because you're a nerd, Human Metal. Yeah, so I just sat there for 3 hours, and I thought to myself, God damn, this movie's awesome. Feels like an hour. It was great. Yeah, I loved Avengers Endgame. So
what a surprise!
What a surprise! Yes, it was a really good film. So
the listeners missed out on Choo Choo playing like the hater for 20 straight minutes before the recording, and hating that movie with a passion. So the joke is a bit lost on our listeners. But
wow, I got to play the hater for 2 seconds at least here on the podcast. So there you go. But I enjoyed the movie. I do have issues with it, which we'll get in as we go forward. I think, generally speaking, when you have a 3-hour movie, and like Human Metal says, it feels like one. That's
done something right.
I mean, I remember like I knew how long the movie was, and I was in the cinema, and I was like, I had like one soda, like one Sprite, and one, like popcorn, which I was sharing with one of my girlfriends at that time. And I was like, well, this isn't going to be enough snacks. I'm definitely going to have to go back to the concession stand to get like more snacks during this film. And I was really worried about that. And I sat down, and like when the movie finished, I barely touched the fucking popcorn. Because the movie was just so good. It just totally got me. It just totally hooked me in.
I had snacks with me. I had like some cola with me, and I never like drank anything or ate anything because it was just so into the movie. And also because there's like, oh shit, I think I'm gonna get something to drink now, then later I might have to pee. And this movie is like 3.5 hours long with like a half hours of like commercials beforehand and stuff like that. So I was like, yeah, maybe that's not a good idea. I actually watched it the second time, and the second time I brought some beers and stuff, and then somewhere in the middle of the movie, it's like, oh shit, I'm just gonna go to the toilet now. I already seen this once. I can just skip this part. It's okay. I went through one of the slow parts that I don't really care about. I went to the toilet that time.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a really good. It was a really good thing to be able to catch your attention that much, where because like the thing is with most movies, if I have popcorn or a hot dog or a drink or anything, like by the time like the fucking even like the commercials are finished, I've finished whatever fucking drink I have, and about 2 minutes into the movie, I finished the popcorn and the hot dogs. But with Avengers, I was really shocked. Like I had to like throw like about 80% of the popcorn away at the end of the film because I just hadn't touched it because that's how good the film was. So there you go. That's the mark. Apparently, that's the mark of a really good movie. If you haven't touched your snacks or drinks or whatever, it's good.
Yeah.
So obviously the three of us like it. So let's get into specifics, things we liked, things we did not like about it. I think we're gonna play sort of fast and loose with our chat here. We're just going to kind of freeform chat about it because we don't really have a structure. But of course, spoiler alert. So if you haven't seen Endgame, you should probably stop this podcast and go watch it. I assume that our audience, the very limited people who listen to our podcast, have actually seen the movie. So we're good to go with spoilers. But yeah, again, if you haven't seen it, we're going to spoil it for you, so you should probably stop that and go do that. So there you go. Don't blame us if we fuck your life by talking about the spoilers for Avengers Endgame right now. So let's talk about the film with spoilers. So Human Metal, you like to talk about Endgame.
Yeah, that's what it says in my bio. Anyway, yeah, I like that the film starts out pretty damn slow for an Avengers movie, considering how action-packed and balls-to-the-walls insane Infinity War was, this is such a more measured and slow and, deliberately paced movie where it's like, okay, we're gonna set all this thing up where it's like, okay, here are the characters. What have they been doing since all that shit went down at the end of Infinity War? How do they feel about it? Oh. Yeah, how depressed is everybody? How fucked up is everybody?
Yeah, I would say fairly depressed.
Yeah. But also, how have their lives changed otherwise? Like Tony Stark has a daughter now, and he has something else to live for. So he's kind of reluctant when the other guys come to him and say like, "Hey, we might have a way to bring everyone back, to rescue everyone." It's like, yeah, I have a life, another life now. I have something else to live for, and I don't want to risk that.
I think they could have done more with that aspect myself.
Sure, probably, but time. The movie is already 3 hours long, but and they wanted to. They actually wanted to. That's I mean, we can get into that now, but they actually casted. Mm-hmm. They actually casted someone to play the adult daughter of Tony Stark in a scene, like right at the end, when this is full spoilers. At the end, where he dies.
He dies.
Dies?
Oh God!
I thought he was just sleeping. Oh.
Yeah, there was supposed to be a scene where he goes like into the same realm that Thanos went into in Infinity War, where it's like this confrontation with a young Gamora. So Tony was supposed to have a confrontation with his adult version of his daughter, who is like forgives him and says we're gonna be okay and everything. So they want to do something with that, but they decided against it because they were like, yeah, here's this new character. We haven't seen the adult version of Morgan anywhere else in the movie, so people might feel a disconnect to that scene. So they decided against it. I don't know if that was a wise choice. I think that might have been good too. But that's how it went down.
It's kind of weird to have like this emotional moment and have like a new character like introduced for that scene. They actually they actually had that moment. Only this time it was with Gwyneth Paltrow's character, right? Where she said,
with Pepper,
that they're going to be all right.
We're going to be all right, yes. And we have the emotional moment, several emotional moments where with Peter first.
They
when,
actually,
yeah.
They really fucked us with this, with Peter Parker. They're like, oh yeah, we're not going to do like the storyline with Uncle Ben dying, but they basically did the Uncle Ben storyline. Well, this time it's Iron Man.
This time, yeah, because it's he takes the role of Uncle Ben kind of in this, or a father figure anyway. But yeah, they do that, and I think it was great. I think like the moment where Peter comes back and Tony's just not saying anything, looking at him really happy, and then hugging him, and it's like, and Peter's like, "Oh, that's so nice." I love that. That made me tear up. That was great.
Yeah. That's of all the scenes in Avengers, that's the scene that got me crying. The scene where Spider-Man's giving it like the mouth or whatever. It's like, oh, it's so awesome, Mr. Stark. This happened and that happened, and you can see Tony Stark's just like goes in for the hug.
That's also like the most emotional moment from like Infinity War, right? Like that's last scene with Parker. So they really well called back to that because it's also the most emotional part of this movie.
That's really great. It's like they did a really good thing capitalizing on the few movies that those two characters appeared in, like setting it up in Civil War, having a longer relationship development scene between them in Spider-Man Homecoming, then having Peter die in Infinity War, like throwing Tony off a fucking cliff because he leaned out, he reached out to a younger person, he became kind of a father figure to him and built up a relation, and then his decisions made that person die, and now he got actually redemption, and all of that you could see in Robert Downey Jr.'s face when Peter finally came back, and that was such a great moment. Really, really well done. And there's several moments like that, not that good, but on almost the same level in this, like several emotional moments in Endgame that are really really well structured, really well set up, and felt really emotionally satisfying.
That's one of the good things about this. Like it really feels like we know this is not the last Marvel movie. Obviously, there's another one coming in like 2 months, but they paid off on like every other movie, like the last 10 years of movies. Every other movie has like a tiny bit of setup, right? Oh, there's a little bit of setup of Captain America almost carrying Mjolnir in like the second Avenger movie, right? Oh, here's a little bit of setup of Spider-Man in this movie. Here's a little bit of setup of emotional moments between Captain America and Peggy Carter. And then they paid all of those, like they set all those things off, and they paid all of that off in this movie. And I really, really enjoyed that. It's like, oh, here's an emotional moment that pays this storyline from 5 years ago. Oh, here's an emotional moment that pays off on the storyline from 3 years ago. Oh, here's an emotional moment that pays off on the storyline from like 20 years ago. It's like insane. And they just did all of that in one movie. And it's really, it really is a roller coaster that way.
Yeah, it's the ultimate fan service movie for all the people who watched all of them. Like, here's something that you remember from each little bit. Like, there's the little elevator scene from Winter Soldier, which they spoof and make fun of in this one with Captain America saying, that's so fantastic. I hollered at that. That was amazing. And, the scene with Thor and his mom is great. And, they brought Thor the Dark World back into this and made something out of that good.
Yeah, I'm about to say that they really leaned on Thor 2 in this movie. It's like, all those people who avoided Thor 2, fuck yeah.
Well, was the same writers who wrote this that also wrote, among other things, they wrote also Thor Dark World, I think. So I guess they thought, hey, we got a redemption arc ourselves here. Although I didn't really hate Thor Dark World, but still was one of the weaker ones. But yeah, also, Ant-Man got a lot of payoff here. I mean, Paul Rudd is, he wasn't available in Infinity War because of, certain reasons. He was in the quantum realm, and he, now he is one of the leading roles in this, and is super funny. Like, there's a scene where he sits and tries to eat his taco, and the fucking Quinjet lands and blasts in his face. I died laughing in the chair. That was just amazing.
Oh, I really like the moment with like him and Hawk, where like Hawk is like doing selfies. And you want a picture with
they're
Ant-Man?
Hawk fans.
Like, nobody knows who Ant-Man is.
Professor Hulk, amazing! Like, they actually introduced a version of Banner and Hulk from the comics that we hadn't seen before, which is Smalt Hulk, which is like, Hulk body but Banner's brain, and it's one of my favorite ones. Like, Hulk with a brain, and it's great, and they do a lot of with that too. It's fun.
Yeah. His half-hearted smash thing was absolutely there. Smash and kick and things.
Yeah, his scenes were a blast too. He was a great comedic relief character in this. His shucks thing going here. And just, like I said, a lot of good fan service. It did a lot of good emotional payoff scenes, like Tony's fucking...
Tony's fucking who?
Tony's fucking who, yeah, exactly.
Fucking Pepper Potts. He's fucking Hulk on the side.
His burial at the end, and
burial at the end. Damn, he's fucking him hard.
Yeah. All of that was great. They even brought back, which no one recognized, like the kid from Iron Man 3, because that kid has grown up a lot since then, but he was in the crowd at the funeral, and
standing by himself, but like it felt very sad for him.
Yeah, everyone was like, "Who's that?"
Everybody at least had like, we don't know many people in his funeral, but at least I got one friend here. I got one friend. Like, I'm Captain Marvel. I don't know anybody else, but I know Nick Fury, so I'm going to stand next to Nick Fury. But that kid didn't know anybody, so he's like standing by himself, looking sad.
Yeah, but in general, like that, these three phases were kind of like, a lot of that was Tony's story, and it started all with Iron Man, and I think they brought it back very well, like brought that personal character arc to a close very well, and it's like a nice ending point. That and Captain America's, of course, I guess those were the two starting points, if you want to call it that. But at least, and I think that worked. And the scene where Tony says, like, grabs the Infinity Stones, and Thanos says, "I'm inevitable," and he says, "I am Iron Man." One of the most amazing things.
Fan service. Like, it's insanely fan service.
Yeah. Yeah, and also, like you mentioned before, Captain America grabbing Mjolnir and bashing Thanos to a pulp for a while was one of the most amazing fan service scenes ever. Like, everyone in my cinema in my movie theater cheered at that. It was like, yeah, fucking finally!
Oh, there was a lot of cheering in this movie, actually. Like,
Yeah.
one of the moments that I think I heard like people get emotional or like get cheery is when the portals open and all the other characters show up, and it's like a 4-minute like montage of just people just walking through portals, like showing up, and it's like, oh, this is amazing.
And all the scenes where all the ladies unite and fight on, which wasn't really earned in terms of how the story of this movie was structured, but it was still a great scene. Like all the ladies going all out.
That was kind of not earned because it feels like a victory lap, or even though they didn't even go join the race, you know what I mean? Like, that doesn't really earn, but it's still fun.
Yeah, all of that fantastic. I think the only scene that didn't work for me that well on an emotional level was the death of Scarlett Johansson of Black Widow.
Oh yeah, Black Widow definitely gets the shaft in these movies. Like, oh, I feel bad for her. Well, she doesn't even get to join into the girl power scene right there at the end.
Yeah, I mean, I get why they used her, but still, I was like, maybe kill off Hawkeye instead. Because he's at least a less interesting character. I knew he needed to survive because of his family and everything, but maybe that would have been a stronger scene if he sacrificed himself for his family, and then Natasha would go back to his family and explain it to them, and that would maybe been another emotional scene.
Yeah, it felt like on the day of shooting, like both of them got like a script in front of them. Oh, who wants to join the TV show? And Hawkeye's like, yeah, I will join. I will make a TV show out of my character. Okay, and then he gets to live.
Yeah, it's.
I actually really want the scene after the end where Hawkeye tries to explain his new haircut and like sleeve the two to his wife and children. It's like, so Dad, what have you been doing for the last 5 years? And he's like, have you watched the movie Sicario and the Benicio del Toro character? Yeah, something like that. Like, he's just been killing like gang members for like the last 5 years. Like, oh, that's going to be hard to go back to civilian life after that.
Yeah, and he's 5 years older now, so that's also one of those weird things. Yeah, lots of funny time travel shenanigans in this movie too. Like that are really interesting and weirdly consistent if you think about them, like for a while, and listen to all the rules explained in this movie, which is basically like, this is not Back to the Future, which they yell at you constantly. It's like, no, things work differently here.
Oh, it's much more like Hot Tub Time Machine. Like,
Yeah, I guess.
But yeah, it's in the movie, doesn't it? Hot Tub Time Machine gets a call out.
Yes, which is funny because like some of the actors in these movies are in Hot Tub Time Machine as well. So.
There you go, another thing of version of fan service. But yeah, that's also super fun. I think there's so much to love in this movie, and so much they did right, and so I can live with the few scenes that didn't really resonate, like the death of Black Widow.
I didn't have any problem with the death of Black Widow, actually. During that scene, I was riveted. I literally didn't know which one of those guys were going to go out there in that scene. Okay. So, it had a sort of drama to it. And Black Widow, when Black Widow died, I felt something. I was shocked to see her go. And especially the girl I saw with, that was her favorite character. She was like, like freaking out that Black Widow died.
Maybe maybe the build up was a bit too, I don't know, too sudden and too weird when they fight for who is supposed to sacrifice themselves, and it's like,
that fight scene felt a little bit too Mrs. Smith to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's like, oh look, we're gonna fight for who's gonna sacrifice himself. Like it's kind of weird. Like, oh, we're gonna,
it
if
felt
I can
a bit
beat
weird.
you up, I can get to kill myself. But if you can beat me up, you can get to kill yourself. It's like, oh, this is a weird fight scene.
Yeah,
it feels very comic booky. That's
yeah, true.
It very much feels like, oh, this is a way in comic books for characters to like settle the differences. This is by just fighting till somebody is just tired.
Yeah.
I quite enjoyed it though, because like when they were at the beginning, when they were talking about who gets to sacrifice, who's gonna go, who's gonna be killed in this situation, like I really thought like Hawkeye was gonna betray her. I really did. I really thought like, oh man, they're gonna turn on each other and start like knifing each other like dogs here. Like
Could have,
not
really?
that
I mean,
dogs
could
knife
have been
each
that he was like because he wanted to get his family back, any way
Yeah.
possible.
Exactly.
I thought that for a while too, but then they immediately went into she wanted to sacrifice herself anyway and stuff like that, and their friendship was more important to him. But yeah, still, it was like I don't know. It went a bit too long. It went a bit too back and forth like 2 or 3 times. I was like, Jesus Christ, guys, it's a bit too much. I don't know. But still,
I enjoyed it. I
good,
enjoyed that.
good. And it's like I said, it's probably the only thing in that movie that didn't quite work for me. I still think it was a good idea and everything, but yeah, that's the only thing, really the only thing. The rest I loved. So,
Although when you think about it, why does Hawkeye love Scarlett Johansson more than his family, more than his wife and his kids? I mean, I'm just saying.
doesn't really.
I don't think he
He's
does.
been banging her on the side.
No, he doesn't. He was willing to, sacrifice himself.
Yeah, who wouldn't we be willing to bang?
I
Scarlett
think
Johansson?
it's that you have to sacrifice something you love, which is probably your own life in that situation. So that's the thing you sacrifice. Like Hawkeye isn't sacrificing Black Widow. Black Widow is sacrificing herself.
Yeah, and Hawkeye is sacrificing, seeing his family again. So, or would be sacrificing that, or literally his family, basically, which he loves. So, yeah, I don't know. That's probably what they had to do. And Natasha is sacrificing the ability to stay with her friends, and I mean, a lot of the stuff.
Or
could
Avenger
be
family,
sacrificed.
which they literally say later in the movie.
Yeah,
We're like family.
yeah.
Yeah,
Fast and Furious.
Natasha's sacrificing the chance to get down on fucking Hawkeye's knob, I think. But anyway,
That's what it is.
Obviously, that's it. Yeah, 5 reasons, 5 things you missed in Avengers Endgame. Explain it to
deleted scenes.
Hawkeye and Black Widow totally boned down in between. Like that's the deleted scenes I get. 30-minute sex scene. Okay.
Between every Marvel movie ever made, even if it's not even like featuring
the porn parody for Avengers Endgame is going to be insane. That's all.
But yeah,
they're in the middle of a gangbang, and all of a sudden, all of the portals show up, and even more people come in. Yeah.
Oh yeah, one scene I forgot. Was
if a porn parody has enough like budget to actually have portals opening, like I'm gonna watch it. And by portals opening, I don't mean women's vaginas.
Strange.
Like if a women's vagina opened and Peter Dinklage came out, I'd be down for that. Anyway,
This
carry
is
on.
getting weird. We're not talking about Game of Thrones yet. Anyway, another great scene I forgot was between Tony and his father in the past. That was also amazing. So,
Wait, carry on. He was in Infinity War. What are you talking about?
That's true.
That wasn't
right.
really that good a storyline, actually. Infinity War, I think.
What?
Yeah, it was alright.
He had a brilliant. He had one of the best lines in the film, though. It's like,
true.
only if I die. Yes, that's what killing you means.
I really like Thor, like as a comedic character. Like he works so much better as a comedic character than as like
Fat
serious.
Thor is great in this.
And then
he's
even
a lot of
still, like his emotion, even though he now is mostly a comedic character, his emotional scene is probably more emotional than anything that happens in like Thor 1 or 2.
Maybe.
I like Thor 1. The emotional scene he has in the Thor 1 is pretty good. But I popped big for the Lebowski reference where he's dressed up like the dude from the Big Lebowski. Like
Tony even mentions it.
Yeah, he does. Like, but before that, I was just totally thinking, like, oh man, he's dressed so much like the Big Lebowski, like Lebowski, and then Tony Stark's like, on your left, Lebowski. I love that. Also, let's face it, we're all gaming fans. The gaming scene with Thor was fucking hysterically funny.
Yeah.
when they brought back those fucking alien things from the third
Thor
Thor.
Ragnarok.
Meek and Korg,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, man, that had me stitching up so hard in the cinema. That was such a good scene. I'm the
Yeah.
god of thunder. I will literally fly to where you are and rain down thunder on your house.
So, I guess we all liked a lot about this movie. So, now the question is...
Did you have like a
Brak?
favorite, like a most emotional moment or something?
Yeah, I think the one with Peter.
Yeah,
Like,
where Peter returns.
that's probably the best thing, yeah.
Yeah,
That's made me
as
very
well.
happy.
I think second place for me is like Captain America getting his happy ending in the end there, like
Yeah.
the last dance. It's like, yeah. I actually, after watching Endgame the first time, I rewatched the first Avenger, first Captain America movie, and that like a relationship between him and Peggy Carter is probably one of the best like things in the Marvel universe in my opinion. So I really liked that they got to get together at the end of it. He finally got that dance, so yeah, I was like really happy for him.
Yeah. Good stuff.
I think the movie started with a bang with Hawkeye at his having his barbecue at the beginning of the movie. When I saw that scene when it opened, my immediate reaction was like, "Oh no!"
I wish I would have mentioned that on the podcast, because when Infinity War ended, that was one of the things I predicted for how Endgame would start. That we would see, because he wasn't in that movie, we would see Hawkeye and would see how his family disappears. And that happened. So it's like, yes, I knew it! I knew this is how this movie would start. And yeah, that was a great scene. That's true. It was hitting hard.
As a person who has, a wife and kids and stuff, that was like hardcore for me to watch.
Would you also be killing Yakuza or? Would you go after the Yakuza if that happened to you?
No. I mean, I don't have his skill set, so I'd probably roll up on the Yakuza office and be like, "Hey!" and they'd just be shot dead.
Maybe.
Or maybe I would like just start like throwing them down on the road and like stamping on their heads and like smacking them with those flags and stuff and knocking their teeth out. Yakuza reference. Never mind.
Yeah. We got that.
Yeah. But is there anything about the film that you didn't like? Because I have one or two complaints about the film.
I mentioned mine.
Oh yeah, that's right, the Black Widow death. So I'm gonna mention mine, which was I thought I was disappointed that the film resorted to a huge giant battle at the end with all the alien dogs and the spaceships and all the explosions and stuff. I don't think it needed that. And I thought like just Thanos versus the core group of heroes or whatever was enough. I mean, again, from a certain standpoint, that would have deprived us of the magical Peter Parker Iron Man reunion or whatever. But like I just feel there's too much going on during the final battle, and like I think they really sort of re-adhered to the standard that they had set themselves. One of those huge battles where so much action is going on, but nothing really ever actually means anything. This one was a bit better than most of them.
Yeah, I thought this one was a lot better than Infinity War because they have a little bit more obvious goal where like, oh, we need to get this fucking gauntlet from one place to the other. And
yeah, I call that my fist, and it goes up a woman's ass.
Gross. But they had like an actual goal going on outside of the building, where it's not just like keep attacking monsters till there are no more monsters. You know what I mean? Like in the last movie, or like in Ultron, or like in Avengers 1.
Yeah, true. It still felt more like we already had our kind of quote unquote intimate battle with the small group around Tony and Spider-Man and Doctor Strange in Infinity War, where they fight Thanos on a Titan, and there was fewer characters, and then the bigger battle was happening on Earth, and this time like they combined that together where like Captain America and Thor and Iron Man are fighting alone against Thanos in the beginning, and then everyone comes there together, and it's just giant ass battle. So I felt like this was like a more dynamic evolution, maybe, of the fight.
And I think they have so many characters in this fight, right? Where like in previous fights, we have to like go like give like a couple of shots of like Thor hitting a monster with a hammer, like a boring Thor hitting a monster shot, right? But because there's so many characters, like every single action shot was like a money shot. Like, oh, we don't see Ant-Man fighting a lot, but we only see like one shot of him giant punching out like one of those giant space worm thingies, right? We don't see.
Cool.
It's like it's only money shots. Like there's no like actual choreography really going on in that big fight. Only money shots, and that is actually what I enjoyed about.
You know what that final battle was? That was an animated version of a comics splash page of like one of these giant 2 pages where you see a giant battle scene where everyone of the Avengers is fighting the big bads, and everyone is doing like the most cool thing that they can do on this given page. And that was what this final battle was. It was just we were panning through that scene with a camera and not looking at it on a comics books page. I think they captured that perfectly. So yeah, I was really happy with that, I guess.
You know what? It's rare to say, but you have convinced me. So I'm going to retract that. So maybe you might be right about that. I retract that. Maybe it was actually really cool because, like I say, the movie was 3 hours long, and it still felt short to me. So I retract that.
Said, like 3 hours long, right? The moment I went to pee the second time was like the exposition scene with Thanos, like where he figures out that there's time travel and whatever. Like I know it's necessary, but it's not interesting to watch. You know what I mean?
True. Like, because you already know what he's figuring out, I guess.
You know, it's necessary for the story for him to figure out how time travel exists, and that there are 2 characters, like we have 2. What's the blue girl again?
Nebula.
There are 2 nebulas and blah blah. Like exposition to get the plot moving. But that's not interesting to watch. So the second time, I'm just like, oh, I know that's gonna happen. I'm just gonna piss now and then come back, and there's cool action shit happening again.
Yeah. I mean, why didn't he sex slave one of those nebulas?
Because she's his daughter.
That's come on.
He's not literally his daughter. He's not.
I know he's bald.
He's a fucking robot.
I know he's bald like you, but it doesn't mean he is as gross.
Thanos is not you. You are not Thanos.
If I had a sex robot that was my daughter, like, and she had like a twin, I'd definitely like I don't know. I chain one of those fuckers up to the basement.
You should not finish that sentence.
I just think you should stop this train of thought entirely. Like just don't keep going with that thought.
Yeah.
Especially considering you're talking on a podcast that's going to be made publicly available.
It's so obvious. If you have 2 robot daughters, make one of them a fucking sex slave in the basement. It's that simple. That's all I'm saying.
You heard it here, folks.
But hey, let's switch up, because I think we all have like wonderful things to say about the Avengers Endgame, but I already think we sort of exhausted that. So let's talk about the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe before we actually run out of literal future for ourselves and wake up still recording this podcast as bearded men. Brak is already a bearded man, so he's running out of time real fast. Someone should like plug a slug in
that's
him.
what I didn't like. I didn't like that Captain America shaved his beard. Like, he looked much better with the beard. And it is desperate. It should be the other way around. Like, last movie, he shouldn't have a beard. And this movie, when he's desperate, he should have had a beard. That's all I'm saying.
He's desperate of the characters in that movie.
Brak is saying that.
I'm saying that the beard it's like it feels like a little bit more rough. Like, oh, I didn't have time to shave. I'm too stuck in the moment. I don't have time to shave. It feels a little bit more like he's a man on a mission, and not like I'm gonna kill Thanos at 5, but I still have time to shave first. Like, that doesn't make sense.
Brak has obviously been given this way too much for. So I get it now. I always thought like a Brak's beard was like a devil may care thing, but actually he's like really hipster about it. I bet he fucking trims that thing with a pair of fucking like pussy scissors or whatever. Anyway. Oh man, do I need to look desperate today? Should I trim my beard? Oh no, I just got to think. This is the right amount of desperation here. This put on these fucking.
Even though
These
I know
tricky-ass
doesn't make
masks.
sense for. I know the reason why he didn't have a beard, because when he goes back in time and he meets the other Captain America who doesn't have a beard, it wouldn't make sense. Like, it would be weird.
That'd be awesome. Bearded Captain America versus non-bearded Captain America. That'd
Yeah.
be badass. Come on, bearded Captain America.
And then normal Captain America's like, damn, that beard looks good on me. And then they reshot the entirety of Winter Soldier with him having a beard. Okay, yeah,
Oh,
I'm good
Well,
for
that would be cool. That'd be like Beardception. Introducing the idea of having a beard without saying anything.
Let's get back on course, though.
this. Yeah, let's go back to the future of the Marvel Universe, which is definitely fucked, because having half the population be gone for 5 years and then all of a sudden return 5 years later, that's like a world destructive event.
Yeah. They're in the future now. It's like 2024 or something. So, yeah.
Man,
There you go.
I really hope they are really, like, to Brak's point, I really wish they would expand upon that, like properly delve into like the repercussions of that type of like seismic humanic, like event to humanity. That'd be brilliant, but they won't do
I
that.
doubt they will. Maybe
Yeah.
one of the TV shows.
No, I doubt they will either. I think it's gonna be the same as like the Battlefield New York, where like the biggest repercussion it had is that people on the street corner in Netflix shows are talking about selling bootleg DVDs of the Hulk fighting. Know what I mean?
I have a feeling they're gonna at least bring it up in the new season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is supposed to run between Infinity War and thing, I think.
I think we all know that Age of Shield fits into the Marvel like cinematic universe, but the Marvel cinematic universe doesn't fit with Agents of Shield. Like, Age of Shield basically never happened. Like, it doesn't exist.
Well, no,
Like,
I'm not
they
sure
never
about that. They
referenced-
don't really acknowledge
They
it,
never
but it
referenced
kind of
ever.
fits.
It never referenced it ever. Like,
I think they
what I found- one thing I found funny about the movie, this is the first time they actually referenced one of the TV shows, right? The very first time, and it's fucking Becky Carter. They referenced like that the Jarvis from Becky Carter is also Jarvis here, and that's the only reference they ever made to one of the TV shows so far. So I doubt
it doesn't mean that they don't fit in though. So far, they kind of do. It's just like they don't have that many intersection points between the movies and the TV show. But in terms of timeline and everything, they kind of do fit in. It's just like, there's not, after the first season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which had a lot of crossovers still, there was not really that much crossover happening between the series and the movie.
There was stuff from the movies crossovering in Age of S.H.I.E.L.D. Not
a bit.
as well, but never anything from Age of S.H.I.E.L.D.
No, never. No.
Like, it's very inconsequential. But
that could still mean that they acknowledge that the thing with Infinity War happens in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and that they bring that up there, and that's the only thing I was saying. Like, that could come up in the show, doesn't mean that it will come up in the movies. So we'll see.
I hope more that one of the new Disney shows are maybe spend more time on that. Like,
maybe
it's gonna be a Hawkeye show, though? I think maybe Hawkeye show, maybe that like Falcon plus Winter Soldier show.
Yeah, how's that gonna work out? Because Falcon is gonna be in the new Captain America, so I'm expecting that he would be like, if there will be more Captain America movies, he would be the main character, right? So why would he be in a TV show as well? It's kind of weird.
I'm not even sure if they're gonna make like another Captain America movie all that quick. I think he's probably gonna be showing up as Captain America more in the crossovers than he is gonna get his own movie. But I'm not sure about that either.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I mean, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. That's one of the things about the future, about the MCU. We don't know really anything past Spider-Man Far From Home, which is coming up in a couple of months.
They definitely set up like a new Guardians movie in this, like where they have like,
they brought back
researching Gamora, and now Thor is on the team as well, and that's probably going to be the storyline.
That's going to be a lot of fun, guys.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. Like, that's one of the things I really like Thor, funny Thor, with that crew. He really fits in really well out of there.
Yeah, it's going to be great fun. And I think rumors about an Eternals movie have been going around. Maybe Nova, but those are still they sound like just like concepts at this point, and don't even know how that would pan out, and what versions of those characters they would actually bring in. And are we gonna get a new Iron Man with the kid from Iron Man 3 being the new Iron Man?
Probably
I don't
not.
fucking know. Probably not. Right? Are they gonna do something completely different? I don't think. I mean, Pepper got her own Iron Man suit now, but I don't think she will take over the mantle.
No. I think Iron Man is just gonna be gone. Like,
we'll see. I mean, there have been several people been Iron Man in the comics, so they could bring one of those guys in. Same for Captain America.
I think they're just gonna mostly focus on the new characters. Like they're gonna have Doctor Strange, Captain Marvel, Black Panther, Spider-Man.
It's been a while since the first Doctor Strange movie, right?
It's been
probably gonna
3
come
years. That's like back in
It
the
feels like a long time because there have been so many movies.
back in the normal sequel world, of 10 years ago. That's a normal lag between a movie and its sequel. You know what I mean?
But yeah, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it feels like there hasn't been a new Doctor Strange movie in like 10 years or something. It's like, where is it?
Definitely, I think all of those heroes like Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, Black Panther, and of course the Guardians of the Galaxy, Ant-Man. I think they're all going to get their movies and go on to the next phase of Marvel. But a good question is, so I think you can see that the Avengers are going to continue. Obviously, because we still have all of these characters together, and they're all going to come together again to form a new version of the Avengers. I don't think anybody's questioning that. So, who do you think is going to be the next villain for the Avengers? Being comic book nerds, because now Thanos is dead, you're going to need a new big bad to unite everybody. Who do you think is going to be introduced as villains?
Problem is, I don't know that many cosmic villains that can
Galactus is the obvious one.
Galactus is the obvious one, but then they first have to introduce the Fantastic Four to this universe, which they can do now because Disney bought Fox. So that's gonna happen probably pretty soon. I wouldn't be surprised if one of the big next movie projects for next year or the one after that would be a Fantastic Four movie. And then maybe, bring in Galactus, bring in Silver Surfer into the fold, all that stuff, more cosmic stuff. Silver Surfer hanging out with the Guardians as well, or encountering them, something like that. They got all of that lying there already, and ways they can introduce him. Maybe put Nova in there too. There's a lot of stuff that can do with that. But maybe Doctor Doom, but that's also a Fantastic Four character. That's also a big bad that has fought several of the Avengers before, and I don't know. There's a bunch of possibilities, but right now with the tools we currently have, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure what they can do. We got Ultron finished, which was one of the big Avengers baddies. I mean, Loki hasn't really appeared yet. Again, I mean, when they went back into time, he flew through the time.
Yeah, but I don't think they're gonna have Loki again as a villain.
No. I mean, and he's not really a bad guy anymore, I guess, and he's gonna get his own TV show. So,
like personally,
I think Loki survived, didn't he? He survived Endgame because he disappeared through the portal. Was the last time?
Yeah, but that was the younger version of him. That was not the version that got killed.
That was the Avengers one Loki. Yeah.
But that's what I mean. The timeline is different.
It's still evil Loki. Yeah. Kinda.
Yeah. So the thing is, like, could they bring Loki back? Because it seems like he's definitively dead. But when he disappeared through that time hole in Avengers Endgame, that's the last you saw of him. So I guess
I think that's going to be the entry point to his TV series. He's going to travel through time, do some mischievous things, and that's going to be the fun part of it.
Okay.
It's probably going to be the setup for the TV show. At least that's what I imagine it to be.
I can imagine that.
What I really hope for their future of the Marvel MCU is not that they're gonna focus again on a bigger bad, right? For the next, I don't hope they're gonna introduce Galactus next, and now it's Thanos, but he's even stronger and more evil and bigger, and he's gonna eat the planet. I really hope that they're gonna more have smaller Thanos, have Hulk and. Doctor Strange and Spider-Man have a team up movie or something, and then have Black Panther and the new Captain America and Captain America team up. You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
I think, in my opinion, I really think Doctor Doom is next. Like I really think like because they went for Thanos last time, with all this world destroying stuff. I think Doctor Doom is coming next as the next. That would be my pick. If I had to lay money on it, I would say Doctor Doom is coming as the next big.
If
bad
I had
for
to
the
lay money
Avengers.
on it, they're probably gonna introduce like the secret invasion of like scrolls. Like in the Captain Marvel, they're like scrolls, and they can take people's place and stuff like that. Because
We
they
got a lot of that set up already. With
so they set
Captain
that up
Marvel.
in Captain Marvel. So I'm gonna guess
Yeah.
that that's gonna be like a big storyline, more like a Civil
Could
War
be.
type movie than a Thanos type event. But still, it's gonna be like a bigger event that crossovers a lot of characters. But I don't think we're gonna see like all the characters of the universe come together to fight one bad guy again for like another 10 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, we already had these like smaller crossovers in one of the smaller, in a couple of the smaller movies. So like we had Hulk and Thor in Ragnarok. We had, a couple of them in Civil War. We had, Falcon show up in Ant-Man. We had Iron Man and Spider-Man in a Spider-Man Homecoming. So there was already these smaller team ups in the smaller movies. So I don't know. Maybe they think that they have done pretty well with the balance they have done so far. Like have these smaller character movies with a few little team ups, and then still have like these big tentpole, giant ass action blockbuster where everyone comes together, because that's what the fans or a lot of fans want. Like, have the small, more focused movies and then have just these big blown out battles. I don't know if they will stray away from that formula, because it has worked out for them damn well. I mean, look at fucking Endgame, which is on the course to beat Avatar as the most successful movie of all time.
Yeah, it's already
At
at
the
second
box
place right
office.
now. That's true.
Yeah, it's gaining though, because those lines, those estimates, those box office results from Avatar are all time, and Endgame just hit the movie theater.
Yeah,
so
it's like 2 weeks
it
ago.
might still reach
So yeah, it's definitely going to reach that number. But I think they know that this is a payoff of like 10 years. So I don't think they're not going to do one in another 2 years. They're going to make another payoff in like 10 years.
They're probably gonna set up another new line of characters that they know they can keep around for another 10 years, like Tom Holland as Spider-Man. They're probably gonna keep him around for that long, the younger ones, right? But some of the older ones, they're probably not gonna do. Choo-choo, you want to say something?
Are there any more older ones except for Doctor Strange, who's kind of older?
Hulk.
But that's a good. They don't really need. If they keep him like that, they don't really need Mark Ruffalo on screen anymore, because they can just show CG Hulk and have him voice the character now. So doesn't really matter if he gets a lot older or something, because he can play the same character the whole time.
It also doesn't matter that he gets older, because people like that when the characters go older, right? That's one of one of the problems I know a lot of people, including myself, have with the comic books, is that they
never change.
They keep really. Spider-Man like a teenager, even though and they let him grow up till he's like an early 20-year-old, and then they have like another event that makes him young.
Where they reboot it,
where they get him back to being a teenager. And now with the movies, you can't do that. Like, it's impossible to do that, especially if you want to keep the continuity, right? If you don't want to
unless you find a way to reboot the continuity and everyone is young again. But yeah, that's true. That's all. I'm really interested to seeing how that will evolve over time, because like you said, they can't do that forever. Like at some point, these characters need to either like grow old or not appear in the movie anymore. It's like, when are the Guardians going to be too old?
Like if they go like another 10 years or something, it's like Spider-Man becoming like the Captain America leadership position or something in the future.
Spider-Man already was the leader of the Avengers at some point, so that's a possibility.
Like that's a possibility that they can actually explore. Well, in this
that would be cool. We haven't really seen a fully adult Spider-Man yet before. I don't consider Tobey Maguire and Spider-Man 3 an adult Spider-Man. So yeah.
Well, let's be honest.
Have you seen that dancing? That's middle-aged man for sure.
Let's not beat around the bush. He was already fully adult Spider-Man in the first Spider-Man movie.
He never looked like it though. Yeah. He looks like a small boy.
Oh, what the fuck are you talking about? He looked like a 30-year-old man posing as a high school student.
Yes.
Yeah, true. But he did a good job at that, in my
Like
opinion.
the only worse one I can think than him is fucking Lucas Black in Wild Speed Tokyo Drift.
Okay.
Who's literally playing a high school student who's balding.
It was definitely like a 21 Jump Street situation, where there's like all their like up or something.
But I mean, in terms of how the characters behave, like, having an adult Spider-Man with adult problems, like, in the same age group as, older Captain America or Tony Stark, and see what that happens. Maybe, Spider-Man has a daughter at some point. Maybe do something with that, there the possibility. There are a lot of possibilities there that you can do, and that's the nice thing about having the Avengers stuff in there, because that team up changed a lot over the years, constantly. Like the team up, the makeup of that team was different a lot of times, was led by a lot of different people, even by Norman Osborn at some point. So a lot of stuff can happen here, and that's pretty cool.
They in this movie they had like the victory lap that they did at the server, have like all the female Avengers like team up. But you could actually make that movie. Like, it's not, you could have Tessa Thompson and whoever the girls from Black Panther and Captain Marvel and Scarlet Witch or something have like a team up movie or whatever. Like, you can it'd be fun to have like these not world changing events team up with like some smaller but more interesting team ups that actually build those characters up. So you can have like that final death scene that actually where you actually feel something, because you have built those characters up outside of just big events.
Yeah, like the female characters in the Avengers universe definitely can like deal with a world-changing event, and definitely need their male counterparts. That's what Brak's saying. So
that's been accepted.
The women in the Avengers can basically do the catering for the boys. Hey, Brak.
Yeah, all to up to get pizza for Spider-Man and Captain America. That's true. That's what I'm saying. That's the story I'm thinking about.
So talking about like where the heroes are going to go, who do you think should be introduced to the Marvel Cinematic Universe from a hero standpoint? What heroes would you like to see introduced? To the cinematic universe.
Well, Fantastic Four are a must, like I said, because they got too many interesting characters in their roster that would be a waste not to use. Doctor Doom, Galactus, Silver Surfer, Namor, the Submariner. There's enough stuff there that I would like to see on the screen. So they definitely, and we hadn't really had a good version of the Fantastic Four yet. So like they did, with Spider-Man, bringing him back from the dead, kinda, after the Amazing Spider-Man movies. I want them to finally bring a good version of the Fantastic Four to screen. And I think that creative force behind the Marvel Cinematic Universe can do that. Aside from that, the X-Men are going to be around at some point, but we've seen so many X-Men movies over the past years that they don't need to be in a rush, in my opinion. I don't need to see another new X-Men team.
I don't need to see a new Wolverine that soon, but it feels like if you want to introduce the X-Men, you have to kind of retcon it, right? You need to find a reasoning for them to be in the movie, be in this world.
Completely new cast.
And the snap feels like a good excuse. Like, oh, everybody who snapped back to life or something. Some of those people got like the mutant gene enhanced in their body, and all of a sudden they got weird powers, something like that. They really need a good reason for why there weren't any mutants for the last 10-15 years, and now all of a sudden they are here. So
and they they can bring Deadpool in without a problem. He can make jokes constantly about how this universe is different from the Fox universe. So that's already set up. That's no problem at all. And I think they're going to do that pretty quickly. I don't know. There are still a lot of smaller characters I would probably like to see, although I didn't brainstorm before this podcast. So
I think I really like Kamala Khan, like Miss Marvel. Not the Captain Marvel, but the other character. She's a really fun character that I can see.
A lot of people would like to see Squirrel Girl. So,
That seems more TV show to me, Scroll.
Yeah,
Like-
more
like-
TV show to me.
Talking about TV shows, how about the Netflix characters coming into the Marvel Cinematic Universe? I mean, not necessarily those actors, but like characters like the Punisher, or
I think they can't use them, at least not those versions. Those
no,
are
no,
Netflix.
no, that's what I'm
property.
saying. Not specifically those actors, but the characters
Okay.
themselves, like
Yeah,
the
sure.
Punisher or Daredevil is specifically like a major absence.
Sure, you could bring those in. Yeah, definitely. I would be interested to see that. But like I said, there are smaller side characters from Spider-Man's hero gallery and Rogue's gallery that I would like to see in future movies.
I'd love to see Spider-Man versus the Punisher at some point. That'd be amazing.
That's an iconic. He was introduced in a Spider-Man comic, so
The
would
funny
be
thing
cool.
is that now they've introduced all the big hitters already, and now they're introducing like characters that I have never even heard of. Like one of the movies that's supposed to be in production is like Shang-Chi, who's like a Kung Fu spy character. Never heard of that character, but I'm interested in seeing like what Marvel does with like how Marvel makes like $100 million Kung Fu movie, like how that's gonna look like. Like I'm curious about that. Even though never heard of that character ever. Like I don't even know who that is.
doesn't matter. It's probably going to be fun.
Yeah, well, as long as it isn't as
And the
bad as
action
the
scenes are-
fucking Iron Fist.
Yeah, I was
not
about to
hard.
say
That's
the
not
martial arts scenes are probably going to look better in this fucking Iron Fist, which is not a high bar. But yeah, so
Movie, they can
yeah, I'm
hire the
interested.
guy with it right now, so that's okay.
But you're right, Brak. I think the thing I would like the most is to like them go for the really obscure characters that nobody has ever seen. Give them the spotlight. Like make me see characters that I have never read a comic of, and it's like, oh shit, okay.
It's not like
This is
anybody.
interesting.
It's not like anybody knew who Guardians of the Galaxy was before this, you know.
Well, I had seen the Guardians before, but I didn't really know anything about them or like their legacy or anything. And that's also something they can do a lot with, because that team up has also changed a lot over the years several times. So, Space Avengers. So there you go. I mean, but in general, I would really like to see the characters that I had never heard of, that have a lot of potential, but didn't really make it into the mainstream ever. And they can just do a lot of stuff with, and bring, get an audience through those movies, because I think there are a lot of characters in the Marvel universe that hold potential like that, and never really got the attention they deserve.
I'm actually really curious, like how long they can keep this continuity going. Like, will we see like new Marvel movies in the same continuity for like till the day I die, or like will the superhero popularity have faded by then?
They're not gonna stop anytime soon.
Like if they're making this money,
why would they?
At best, they've started to peak now. You know what I mean? That's at best.
Yeah, the only thing I can see is that everyone who wanted to see this saga close and got their good ending is now satisfied, because there was a lot of superhero fatigue coming up. A lot of people saying, I don't want to see superheroes anymore. And now that, one of the, the main character that everything started with is dead, and the other one is old and everything, that maybe some people say, okay, this is for me a good point to leave and not watch any more of those movies. And maybe now the hype will wane a bit and it's going to go down, and maybe some of the new characters they introduce will not catch on that big, and maybe then they decide to slow things down and make things a bit smaller. But so far, that hasn't happened, obviously, because Endgame is the biggest thing now, and I don't think it will happen with the new Spider-Man movie either, because it's fucking Spider-Man. So we'll see what comes after that.
Yeah,
it all depends on how well they introduce the new stuff that we haven't seen before.
Yeah, it's curious to see if like Doctor Strange 2 or like Captain Marvel 2 maybe does a little bit less than the previous entries. Yeah. And
I'm pretty sure the next Black Panther movie will be giant. I'm pretty sure Guardians of the Galaxy 3 will still just be watched by fucking everyone. But the other movies that are kind of an unknown quantity at this point, we'll see how those work out, and if they still catch on as much as the rest. But if they can keep that train, if they can keep that train going, I am on board. Because I can watch those fucking movies like
Those fucking movies
every day. Yeah, those two.
One funny thing about this movie, like it doesn't have the after credit scene, right? Like and understandable.
Yeah.
But they have like a credit scene which doesn't make any fucking sense. Like because you see actors who have like maybe a single line appearing like first in the credits. You know what I mean? Like they don't. It's probably like Robert Redford was in this for 5 seconds, but his agent probably like wanted him to be like on the front of the credits. So like one of the first credits is Robert Redford. Like why?
He's a big actor.
I know, but it's like you expect that to be like start with like Iron Man and Captain America and like those characters, and then after a while we have Robert Redford and
I think
stuff like that.
They just mentioned every big character that was over in the Marvel Cinematic Universe in the past 10 years. That was the point of that.
That's not true, actually, because if that was true, then they would have had Anthony Hopkins in there, but they didn't.
They didn't?
No, they didn't have
okay.
Anthony Hopkins. So it's like everybody who was in this movie at some point, but like the people who weren't in this movie weren't credited. So
for me, it feels like these big actors, like these famous actors, they like had to like fight for like, we're big actors, so we need to be like in the front of the credits or something. That's what it felt like to me. But maybe I'm wrong.
But hey, the big five got their like with the signs and everything, like their signatures. That was pretty damn cool. I like that a lot. In general, it was well done credit scene. And,
I stayed actually all Japanese. Weird thing about Japan, everybody stays until the end credits are finished. Everybody in every movie. It's really weird and pisses me off. But still,
what a weird gripe to have.
Well, because sometimes, if you're watching the Avengers, or something, you kind of want to stay to the end of the film to get the sting or whatever. But if you're watching something like, I don't know, any other movie that's not a Marvel movie, you just want to get the fuck out before everybody gets out the cinema. You know what I mean? Or just leave, because you don't want to sit there through a wall of text or whatever. But it's just like everybody just sits there like they're frozen in their seat, and I'm like, let's go. And then my girlfriend gets angry with me, like, well, we gotta wait. Why? The movie's not over. Yeah, it is. Like, what are you I don't know.
Respect for the people who worked on it.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess that's what they would do in France. No, that's not what they would do in France. They would probably all just talk about how shit the movie was. That's French people for you.
Casual racism.
For sure.
But yeah, I just found it funny that like this movie has like multiple actors who are big enough to be like the star of like their own movie, but they don't even have a line in this movie. The way like Michael Douglas is in the movie, there's like 3 lines, and like Angela Bassett has like 1 line. Like that's kind of hilarious to me. Like these like A-list big super movie stars show up just to stand in the back of a funeral scene. I thought, that's pretty interesting day for them.
Yeah,
they probably got enough money for just that single shot, so whatever.
Yeah. Natalie Portman. I was so surprised when Natalie Portman turned up in this movie. I was like, wow.
She didn't turn up though.
She didn't turn up?
No, that's they use footage from like earlier movies.
Are you sure?
I'm 100% sure that they said it. Like she did a voiceover, but she didn't actually show up.
Wow. Okay, that kind of sucks, but well, there you go. But hey, that's our opinion on Avengers Endgame. But if you have an opinion, Radiophonic Sea Creatures audience, please sound off in the comment section. Until then, please join us next time when you realize your pants are full of cranberries, you PMS cock-blocking bitch.